Hey folks, how we doing? Live to Inspire podcast, as always with yours truly, Dave Coleman. And today this is episode 18, I think. So it's a bit of a strange one. It's more of a sort of follow-up really. It doesn't really have a title or a topic per se, just really around mental health. And dare I say it selfishly, my own mental health. Because I think a lot of people will potentially are struggling with their own mental health. So to hear someone else's sort of story and struggles sort of makes things okay. Because for me personally, I've struggled for a good few years. Certainly the last at least 3 years, I've really struggled a lot mentally. But I also struggled a lot mentally following my return from the Winter Olympics in 2014, as I effectively lost my purpose. I didn't really have a why, and I was kind of drifting really, I suppose, for want of a better phrase. And yeah, that was tough. And I think I've mentioned in previous episodes about how a purpose, a direction, setting goals, those kind of things are really, really significant. The Viktor Frankl, his book, Man's Search for Meaning, I think I mentioned that in a previous episode. What is your why? It's a very hard question to answer, but the process of logotherapy, which Viktor comes up with as a psychoanalyst or a psychologist, I think, if you remove everything about you and you have total anonymity, what stops you from acting on, shall we say, negative thoughts? And that can then be the key to finding out what your purpose is. So it's quite a powerful but simple technique. So like I said, I struggled a lot after the Winter Olympics when I returned, but more prevalent has been the last sort of 3 and a half years of my life. So yeah, just to go through a few bits really, and things I've learned to help myself and hopefully help you guys. So like I said, the premise for this episode is really based around messages I receive. It's really nice, and it helps me a lot. It helps me a lot, more than you guys know. But hopefully, potentially by the end of this episode, you will have a level of understanding what it means to me. That on the face of things, you can paint your smile on. You can be positive. You can be happy. For some people, that's easy, and it's part of their character, right? It's they're real extroverts, and they're always that happy person. But that's the happy person that you might see. What are they like behind closed doors? Are they really introverted? Again, I think I've mentioned about Imposter Syndrome. Almost every time I go to rugby training whilst I'm out here in Bahrain, I feel a little bit of the Imposter Syndrome kicking in. I've no idea why. It doesn't make any sense. There's no rhyme or reason to it. But it just kind of kicks in. But then it's like, I was explaining to someone that if you don't really know what imposter syndrome is, the kind of equivalent is like a kid going to school, first day of school, a new school, new people, it's big, it's massive change. All the other kids are the same age, they're all there for the same reason, just like you are. But actually it's really terrifying. But once you finish the school day, sometimes kids don't want to leave, or and it takes a while to overcome it, right? Some kids can do it immediately, some kids take a lot longer, and it's the same with adults, right? It's the same with me. I've been going to this rugby club for 6, 7, 8 months now. I've played rugby in the past. It's not a problem. I know what I'm doing, hopefully. But I still feel really, really out of place, like I shouldn't be there, even though I know everyone, and it's a really safe, non-judgmental environment. So those kind of things do kick in. Now, like I said, off the back of some of these messages, I do really appreciate it, because people are saying, keep up the good work, or it's really helpful, or people are sharing this with friends, family, other people that feel that it might help them, which I'm blown away by that, because I'm almost doing this as a selfish thing for me as an outlet, right? Because I'm here on my own. I do talk to people. I'm not that much of a caterpillar, right? Or a butterfly. I'm not just in my bubble. I do talk to people, but this allows me to almost freedom of speech, shall we say. I'm sure Elon Musk would love that. But I came across this image. I was looking at Maslow's hierarchy of needs, which I'll go through again shortly. But there's positive and negative indicators for mental wellness or mental illness. Again, you could transfer that to well-being, or even just problems. And it kind of it kind of triggered me in a way, because I'm looking at it, and on the left-hand side, right, we've got these positive indicators. They're really good, right? Life satisfaction and happiness. That's a positive, right? All of these are positives. Strong social relationships, how you are with other people, interactions, friends, colleagues, teammates, wherever it is, personal relationships, all that stuff. That's a positive, right? You've got strong social relationships, positive. Building blocks of well-being, right? Which, again, I think I've touched upon. You can do daily gratitude diaries, write down 3 things at the end of every day that you are grateful for, things that you've done, or even things that people have done for you, so you're showing gratitude. I struggle a lot with the social media side of things, because I think a lot of people use it for immediate gratification, and again, it does promote or provoke, shall we say, the positive and negative indicators of well-being and mental health. Social skills, and I'll come on to that in a minute. Healthy interactions with minimal bullying but high support. I'm not sure I really understand that one either, but it's a strange one. So we've got an increase in promotive and resilience factors. This is for the positive indicators or mental wellness. So for me, I sort of think, well, I'm all right. I've got life satisfaction. I'm happy. Got fairly good, strong social relationships. Social skills. I can do social skills. It's not what I would do out of choice. I don't feel especially comfortable in social situations, but I'll get on with it, and I'll try my best to make friends, as much as people sort of prejudge as well, but there we go, that happens. But then this is the one that really sort of triggered me, right? Because I'm looking at all of these factors, and it says they're positive, and I'm thinking, right, I've got my mental wellness, my well-being, I'm in a good place. And then it says basic needs are met. So that's what got me onto, I referred myself back to Maslow's hierarchy of needs. And the basic needs are psychological, physiological, right? So air, water, food, shelter, sleep, clothing, anything like that. That is a basic need, along with safety, so personal security. If you have somewhere to sleep or some shelter, you'd like to think that it was a safe and secure environment. Employment, resources, health. So again, the food you're eating, the water you're drinking, the air you're breathing, is that safe? Is it clean air? What's the pollution levels? You can work that one out. What were the other? Basic needs. So even more basic, love and belonging. So again, initially the sort of assumption that one would make about love and belonging would be some sort of relationship, but it can obviously be friendships as well, right? Family, and obviously the intimacy of a partner. But it boils down to a sense of connection. So if you don't have a sense of connection with anyone or anything, like friendship, family, take away any intimate relationships, just friends and family, if you struggle to have a sense of belonging, you're not meeting your basic needs. As we're going up this hierarchy of needs, again, please do Google it, it's very interesting. Esteem, right? How do you feel about yourself? Self-esteem, self-respect, recognition, the strength you have, so mental resilience, emotional quotient, dealing with other people, dealing with situations. And also, I find it quite prevalent as well in this day and age, a level of freedom. So I think a lot of people I know are trying to search for financial freedom. That's a whole different kettle of fish. But go right down again back to the bottom of the triangle, the pyramid. The basic needs, the physiological needs: air, water, food, shelter, sleep, clothing. If you've got those, then you're starting to meet some basic needs. So you could argue that I am meeting those. What I struggle with is a sense of belonging with friendships, with family. I always feel, if you've ever watched Carl Pilkington or listened to some of his ramblings, it's a fascinating chap. He did a show directed by Ricky Gervais, An Idiot Aboard, and I can't remember the other one, but he said about relationships. He met a polygamist. I think he had 4 wives, 5 wives, something like 20 kids. It's crazy. Crazy to me, anyway. And he was saying, you know what? He said the best person who had the best level of belonging was Snow White. So we were sort of thinking, what's he talking about, Snow White? He said she had it perfect, right? She had 7 mates and they all had their own specific traits or characteristics. Now, I appreciate that's sort of fictional, right? But how many of your friends through whatever, Facebook, Instagram, socials, employment, whatever it is, how many of those friends would you say you could jump to or speak to or pick up the phone and that they would genuinely, be there to offer some support? Nothing implied, just being a friend. Something worth potentially reviewing about your own situation. So that's the sort of basic needs, right? So then I thought, well, I'm not really necessarily meeting all of my basic needs. So then I thought, well, I'm still not out of my mental health. My mental health isn't where it should be. With anxiety and depression, like I said, I'm still having counselling sessions. So rather than, shall we say, branding it as mental illness, we can sort of change that to problems, right? And I think I tweeted something the other day, which was something like, happiness isn't the problem, it's solving it. Overcoming the problem, that can lead to a massive result in happiness. Overcoming something that you didn't think you were capable of doing is amazing. So with the negative indicators for mental illness or mental problems, you have the obvious ones, right? Anxiety, depression, and other forms of internalizing problems. So that's a massive one for me. Again, I appreciate some people do, some people don't do it, depends on your behavior traits, and there's a massive argument with nature and nurture, but internalizing problems, dealing with them yourself rather than externalizing them, or distribution of responsibility, self-talk. I'm always writing down notes. Like I said, this for me, this podcast is kind of indirectly me internalizing my problems. It's an outlet, but these are all things that I have in my head that are constantly internalized. So if I can't externalize them or allow them, the thought to verbally come out of my head, my body, it will just stay there. So again, something potentially to think about. Disruptive behaviors such as defiance, rule violations, and substance use. I appreciate there are people in and around the world that are in dark places that do use substances. Rule violations and defiance. Again, I wouldn't say I'm an outright defiance or any special rule violations. Disruptive behaviours, I don't know. I really don't know. I try my best, as always, with anything I do, if I'm putting my name to it, such as this podcast, obviously the book, any employment, whatever it is, it's got my name to it. It's me. It's a reflection of me and my own abilities and my skill set. So I will always do my utmost to give my best, right? And because, like I said, that's what I want to do. It's my purpose in life, to help other people. So again, a few factors there potentially that we can think about. Are we being disruptive? Again, that could be within relationships, could be with friendships, could be with work. I found myself actually one incident at rugby training. I just didn't really understand what had happened. Someone said they tackled me when they clearly hadn't, and we were playing touch rugby. So I got really confused by the whole situation, and I thought, well, I'm not accepting that. And then it turned into this massive disruptive thing. Here you go. See, need an outlet. And I came home, and I just sat in the shower and I was crying, and I thought, what happened? It was such an out of body experience. I didn't know what was going on. I didn't know what had happened. I didn't why did I react in that way? That's not me. Appreciate competitive situations and those side of things are different, and the heat of the moment, but it was nothing like that. It's just training. It wasn't a match. It wasn't anything. So I was really confused, and I really struggled to come to terms with it for at least a week. And I think I genuinely stepped away from the following training session because I didn't know where I was mentally. I didn't know how I could cope with that situation if it came up again. So it can affect us all in very different ways. Other indicators include things like trauma and environmental stresses, so very similar to what I was saying about disruptive behaviour. Thinking errors or behavioural withdrawal. Again, very, very similar to what I just explained. A risky or unsafe setting. So again, that's something that led me back to Maslow's hierarchy of needs. Where was it? Yeah, safety. Safety is the second level. If you're not in a safe environment, you're potentially then exposing yourself, or it could compound or exacerbate the mental illness or any problem that you may have can be exacerbated by an unsafe or a risky setting that you're in. So possibly take some time to reflect on where you are and the setting that you're in. Something that's a trigger for me, this was a big one, inconsistent rules and expectations across a variety of settings. Inconsistent rules, I mean, that is a big red button for me. It's the whole thing of, do as I say, not as I do, or it's one rule for them and it's another rule for everyone else. My brain can't cope with that. I don't understand. So I need to know why those rules are there. If I have an explanation, if I understand it and it's justified, I'm okay with it. But if it's inconsistent and it's one for one and one for everyone else, or do as I say, not as I do, really confuses me. So that then is linked obviously with an unsafe setting because it's risky. It's like I said previously, a rule violation. So all these things are potentially compounding the problem, compounding the mental illness. And that really struck a chord with me. So it made me think, how do we, there's no right or wrong answer with this, it's all individual, right? But when we go through the hierarchy of needs, through physiological as a basic, then we go up to safety, then we go love and belonging, we reach esteem, and then at the top of the pyramid we have self-actualization. So again, where I've done some more research on this, as we go up from the bottom to esteem, the motivation that we have to get ourselves, shall we say, out of the hole, out of that dark place, the motivation decreases as the needs are met, right? So if you have a we all have physiological needs, but if you have access to air, water, food, shelter, sleep, that's ticked off, right? So then your motivation might decrease a little bit, because then you're then focusing on safety. So as you go up, the motivation decreases. It's only when you enter the self-actualization phase where the motivation increases. So it sounds weird, but when you are in that self-actualization about being in oneself, being in the moment, being where you are, then it turns into a growth need. And that's where I think I've alluded to in previous episodes about a fixed versus growth mindset. I think I said at the start of this episode about daily gratifications. Find one thing, 3 things, 5, 10, whatever they are, about what you are grateful for. That will then allow you to then grow, because you then are embracing self-actualization and you're focusing on the top of the pyramid rather than all the basic fundamental needs. So the biggest challenge to getting to self-actualization for me, and I believe potentially others, is the sense of belonging and a sense of love, right? So that's where things like dating apps exist, okay? So your Tinders, your Bumbles, your Hinge, your whatever they are, okay? And then it links very closely to, I may have alluded to previously again, about Netflix syndrome. How many times have you gone onto Netflix or onto YouTube or whatever it is to watch something, even Spotify, listening to an amazing podcast such as Live to Inspire by me. But you may go, actually, you know what? I'm going to listen to 5 minutes of that, and then you'll check out. Or you're watching a film, you finally decided on a film, you've watched it for 5 minutes and you go, just not into it. I really want to watch something else. I want to watch a series. And then very quickly, you just change. So it happens a lot in this day and age, in the intimate relationships that people have break down very quickly because other options are always there. The easy options are always there. It pains me that I know quite a lot of marriages that have broken up after 1 year, 2 years, 3 years. Some people have children in those marriages as well. Again, that's for everyone to decide on their individual merit. So the sense of love and belonging, if you can get to that stage and really nail it down and secure it so you are in a safe environment where your physiological needs are met and you have that sense of intimate relationship with friends, with family, and that sense of connection, then that perpetuates into that self-esteem where you go, actually, I'm feeling really good. I've got someone that finds me attractive. I've got a group of friends here. Everything then starts to perpetuate from there. So the love and belonging is right in the middle, just before motivation increases, and it's above where motivation is, or the basic needs are. So it's a really interesting one. I like to understand it because, like I said, if I can't get my head around inconsistent rules or expectations, self-expectations, expectations of others, how others see me versus how I see myself. I really struggle with that. And it was on, I think Jimmy Carr said it on the Stephen Bartlett podcast, The Diary of a CEO, and he said suicide is a long-term solution to a temporary problem. I think that's right, something along those lines. I've mentioned that negative mental health or mental illness, it's a broad spectrum, right? And different people suffer at different stages. But if we're in that self-actualization and we can remove the, shall we say, option of attempting suicide as a solution to a short-term problem, then we can start to really build and become self-aware of who we are and the growth factors we have, where we're meeting those basic needs. We've got relationships, we have the building blocks of well-being, which are the gratitude, the empathy, persistence, and resilience. And I think that last one is absolutely fundamental for any sort of success in any profession, any industry, any life, anyone. If you have a level of resilience and emotional quotient, you can cope with anything. And just be true to you. Take a step back from some factors, and then take a step back to that art. Look from the outside in rather than being inside looking really close at it. Take a step back and look at yourself, looking at things. How can you respond in a positive action to those situations? So I appreciate it's a slightly longer episode today, but I feel like it's something I need to get off my chest. And I do struggle daily. I appreciate that it may come across as I'm in a good place and I'm happy. And there are times, don't get me wrong, there are some good times, making memories and being present in the moment. But there are daily struggles with anxiety, with levels of conformity, all sorts of bits and bobs that I suffer with. So as always, I do appreciate you taking the time to listen to my content. To finish, I say it to myself, I verbalize it, and I hope you buy into it as well, in that we may not get there immediately, but we will get there eventually. Take care.